Welcome to the Coffee with Creators podcast, a casual conversation with creators about life and experiences. I'm your friend and your host, Michael. Two very special guests joined me in this week's episode, my friend Brady Keegan and the one and only Jon Rettinger. In case you're not familiar, Jon is the founder of Techno Buffalo and has grown multiple channels across the different social media platforms. He brings consumer electronic news to over 21 million viewers per month and ranks in the top 5% globally in social media influence. We talk about the importance of professional relationships and how building a team of happy and creatively fulfilled individuals have paid dividends in his personal and professional life. Now, I want to preface this episode by saying that the audio quality is a bit wonky and I even lose my video feed halfway through thanks to a very inconsistent internet connection. And before hitting record, Jon even asked if I wanted him to record anything on his end, to which I replied, nah. Thankfully, my guests were awesome and I was still able to salvage most of it, but it was the most amateurish thing I've ever done in my history of podcasting. Learn from my mistakes, ladies and gentlemen, and make sure you have contingency plans in place in case things go sideways. Anyway, here's Jon and Brady.
Michael, try not to embarrass me too much. I'm in presence of my boss.
No, you're in presence of your friend, and Michael, you have to embarrass him.
Jon, I know you just came back from vacation.
Yeah, I went to Hawaii. It was glorious. It was paradise. The first time in I think a couple of years that I really turned off work.
Nice,
which was weird. Paying the price now since I'm back, but was good. Was good.
It's interesting that you said that because I find that to be true with creators in general, that it's kind of hard to turn off. Like no matter what you do, like even if you're on vacation, you're with family and you're doing all the other stuff, your brain in the background is kind of just like always working, thinking of ideas or thinking of how to make things more efficient. And do you find yourself in that same scenario? I guess
it's funny. I like to make a joke to my wife. I think my brain is fundamentally broken. I have a horrible time sort of relaxing and unwinding and sleeping. It serves me very poorly. But for the business side, the analytical and trying to find new business opportunities, it works out well. So I'm always kind of dancing between my brain trying to murder me and then sort of also being very helpful for business. So vacation was a nice just reset, nice reset of those kind of processes.
I imagine you had to kind of ease yourself into the vacation. It's not like you can just boop, I'm done. I'm not thinking.
No, man, you jump into the deep end. There's no toe. You just dive in. Hope you don't give yourself shock.
I love it. You're very courageous because I don't know if I can do that.
Oh yeah, I'm courageous. I went on vacation. I have the same courage that Apple did when they removed ports from the computer.
I love it.
Brave. I'm a brave man.
Mostly out of necessity, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was just telling Brady earlier before you hopped in that I was facing this. I was just going through this whole, I would call it growing pains of being a creator, like an independent creator, but I'm just by myself, a one-man team.
Okay.
And, all these brands are asking me to do this and, oh yeah, I'll do that. I say yes, because obviously it's work. But then at the last minute, they're like, oh, let's put a hold on that. We can't really, release it yet because we have problems on our side. So that leaves me kind of in this limbo where it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm not getting paid yet. So it's kind of frustrating because now I'm like, okay, I spent so much time doing this, with really nothing to share or to show for. Basically equates to me not getting paid or not making any sales and stuff like that. Because the whole nature of this is really, I'm selling products, I'm selling services, I'm showing, different sides of companies, and other than just, hey, look at me, I have nice things. You know what I mean? It's more than that. There's so much more to the business. I was kind of forced to think about this whole scenario. But one of the things that I really want to try to kind of get myself into is slowly build my own team. But before we actually dive into that deep topic, no introduction that is needed for you, but I would I would very much appreciate it if you could share a little bit of your story.
Sure.
Yeah, I first saw you, I think, on Techno Buffalo, and you were reviewing
Hello?
I don't even remember what phone it was.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of them. Listen, I appreciate that. I'm not generally even well known in my own house, so I will take it. My name is Jon Rettinger. I've been making content online since long before my beard was gray. going back now about 13, 14 years, focused mostly on the world's consumer electronics. I've got a YouTube channel with a million or so subscribers, and I built a website called Techno Buffalo. I sold a few years ago, and now sort of refocused on the video side. And Michael, to your point, I'm somebody who's made a lot of mistakes in the space. A lot of mistakes business-wise, whether it's growing teams too fast or not having enough team and that kind of thing. So I'd be happy to share any of the mistakes that I have made, so perhaps you can avoid, and your audience can avoid, making the exact same mistakes when they are very common pitfalls that I think a lot of creators fall into. But just so you know, as we kind of move forward, and for your audience, saying I'm a totally open book. You can ask me anything you want. Nothing is off limits. No issues at all. Ask me anything. If I'm uncomfortable answering, I just won't answer. But I certainly won't get offended at anything.
I love that. Actually, so since I don't want to forget about Brady. I definitely did not forget about Brady. So for the audience, I have with me Brady and Jon. That's a terrible introduction, by the way. I'm so sorry, Brady. But Brady's been on the podcast like once. You've been on the podcast once, and I've worked with Brady on a couple of different projects in the past. So Brady and I are friends. We've known each other for a little over a year now, and it just so happened that I think it was late last year when Brady's daughter, it was her birthday, correct? And he's like, hey, if you're not doing anything on the weekend, you and your wife should bring your kids and, just come by and, celebrate. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. And then he goes, oh, by the way, you know who Jon is, right? I'm like, Rettinger. And he's like, yeah. What about him? He's like, well, he's going to be there. But it was so weird to know that I've been working with someone who knows someone that I've been following for years and I admire.
Thank you.
I guess the topic that I kind of wanted to play around with or talk about today is how important it is to have like these type of relationships, like to know the right people, not necessarily to know the right people, but to make good relationships. Because to me, that's very important for me in my own graphic design business before I started YouTube. It's really just knowing people and making sure that you're good to them and that they trust you and that they can rely on you. Because I feel that, or at least in my experience, that was the thing that I did, the only thing that I did that brought me more businesses, that brought me more work. I guess I kind of want to just explore that and see how important it is. Is it the same thing overall, like in business? And what's your experience with it, Jon?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. So I think for creators, most creators, I think, fall in one or two buckets. And Brady and I have talked about this offline. There's the artists, and then there's the business creators. And very rarely do those buckets cross. The artist is making bespoke content. Everything that they are doing is unique and individual to them. And I think then you've got the folks who look at it as a business and the video as their product, and they want to sort of make sure that it is monetized properly. And I'm shocked at how infrequently those sort of circles cross. But in the space, and sort of back to your point, a reputation is important. And you mentioned treating people well and that kind of thing. And I'm somebody who became a boss relatively early on in my life with this video, and I made a lot of mistakes in that realm. A lot of scenarios I've replayed in my head over the years that I wish I could play again and redo. But all you can do is sort of learn from them and try to be better. But you mentioned building reputations and sort of making sure your network is solid is really important. Listen, there are plenty of creators in the space that have much larger audiences than I do. I make no bones about it, but I've built my career on being a grown-up about it, being reliable, delivering what I say I'm going to deliver, delivering it on time, being family-friendly, and brands traditionally have chosen to work with creators who they know are going to deliver on time. The creator world is littered with incredible professionals. It's also littered, like every other field, with folks who don't treat it as a job, or treat it like something that's always going to be there no matter what they do or their behavior. And it's tough for brands to want to work with that. And you see those creators tend to fizzle out relatively quickly.
That's a great point. I think I feel the same when I was designing and when I was a graphic designer. That was pretty much the only thing that I could really tell my clients that they can rely on me. So I'm not the best designer. I admit that. Like, I know this. Like, there is so many other designers there that that would just embarrass me, to be honest. But I can get the work done, and I will deliver that work to them, like on time and as how they asked or expected it. And I've actually had this experience with Brady. I worked with Brady with a couple of different projects, and I want Brady to kind of share that that little experience that we went through with some photography projects. What I'm trying to say is that if Brady and I didn't have a good relationship, it would have been messy. But because we had a good relationship, we were very much open to like, hey, how does this work? Are we doing this correctly? What do you think of this? You recall this, right, Brady? I mean, this was like late last year, I think, when we did this. Yeah.
Yeah. So, right before that, in kind of piggybacking off of what you said, Michael, being in a good relationship with the people you work with is absolutely massive, because when there's a lapse of communication, that's when things tend to fall apart. So, because you and me are so close, working on that project was extremely easy. Essentially, the brand gave us loose guidelines of what to shoot, and me and Michael were shooting together. He was doing more of the lifestyle, I was doing more of the standard product photography imagery. And then I did do some additional lifestyle. We shot off the photos to the brand, and they said, hey, here's some more specifics on what we'd like to see. And Michael shot me a message, and he's like, hey, is that okay if we redo this and do it a different way? I emailed you just a little graphic. Hope it's okay and you can understand it. And the graphic designer in Michael shot me a 4-page, beautifully drawn out PDF on exactly what to do. And it was incredible. And I've never worked with somebody that was that thorough. And oh my God, did I appreciate that, because it streamlined my workflow an immense amount. There was no lapse of communication, and we were able to call each other and really just throw ideas back and forth with no hard feelings, constructive criticism, and it's great. I guess that's part of what being an adult is in the creative space, is you gotta have thick skin. You gotta know that creativity is subjective. Not one mindset is the right mindset, because everybody has a different idea of what looks good, what feels good,
Like I said, I'm somebody who's been around a long time, and I'm somebody who's been very candid about making a lot of mistakes over my years. So folks who are in the influencer space or want to be a creator on any platform, as somebody who has, again, made a lot of mistakes, there are some general guidelines that I really want to share that I've learned and that I try to live by. The first one is know for a fact that you are replaceable. No matter what you think about yourself or what others have told you about yourself, you are replaceable. And if you do not either deliver with within brand confines, or you stop posting, or you start to take yourself way too seriously, it becomes disingenuous to the audience, you'll be replaced either by the audience or by a brand. And never, ever forget that. And sometimes you want to be replaced. Sometimes the brand deal with a product you don't agree with. Sometimes your feedback is onerous or takes away your unique voice, and that's okay. But just know always that you are replaceable, and what you are doing, and this is a tough one to say, is not saving lives. It's not. We're not doctors. We're not on the front lines. There are people more important than us in the world. And remember the privilege and the blessing that people care about what you have to say. And treat your content through that lens. If you tell your audience you're going to post something, post something. If you tell a brand you're going to post something, post something. I understand creatively sometimes there are ruts and up and downs, and that happens. But just do what you say you're going to do, and don't take yourself too seriously. Remember what you were doing is entertainment. And I think if you view yourself through that lens, you can set yourself up, I think, for a lot more success than viewing yourself as, I am all important. Look what I've achieved by the time I'm 19 years old. I've got 5-figure brand deals coming at me left and right. It's always going to be like this. I'm going to go full Mr. Beast, and I'm going to go buy a $2 million house and 17 cars, because it's always going to be here. You turn around and you're 23 and it's gone. So perspective, I think, is really important.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, John, because two things actually you said that really um, resonated with me, and only because I believe in the same thing. Really quick story. I don't know if I told Brady this before, but when I used to work for a company, and my manager was it was a very toxic environment, and my manager was very much um, he was cracking the whip every day basically. And I remember I had my evaluation, and he said, okay, so these are the things that you need to improve so that we can give you a raise. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, I agree. I need to do these things. But the problem is, what my workload is every day. And it's physically impossible for me to add more to it. And then he goes, well, yeah, I mean, that's just the way it goes. And I said, okay, well, I don't know if I can live like this. So that kind of started the whole conversation. And it got to a point where he felt like, well, I was ready to quit, basically. And I guess he felt threatened by it. And he goes, you know what, Michael? No one else is ever going to pay you more than what we're paying you right now. And I wish that he didn't say that, but he actually did say that. And I was 20. I don't even remember how old I was, in my 20s. And then I just remember my reply was, you know what the difference between you and me is that I accept that I can be replaced. That's what I told him. If I don't serve you anymore, I'm okay with that. I can be replaced, and I'm okay with that. And then he came back with, I guess he was just really threatened by it, because he knew that he needed bodies in this company. And he said that, well, remember this guy who left? He's begging me for his position, or his role back. And I said, yeah, no, I'm okay with it. Like, if it doesn't work out for me here, then I can just move on. So when you said that you're replaceable, that's one thing that I never
Yeah.
forgot. And it's not to talk, to basically discourage people. It's like you said, perspective. It's to make you understand that you have to put in the work. You have to make sure that you're delivering on your promise. Otherwise, yeah, there's always going to be someone else. Because if we don't keep ourselves in check, basically, we get lazy. We get like too much into our heads and feel like, oh, I'm Mr. Important. And we realize that John just said in the beginning that even in his household, nobody really knows who he is. I mean, it's funny, but it's like there's some truth in what he just said. Like, in your little head, you feel like everyone knows you, but truth of the matter is, only a few people know you.
Yeah, listen, I think it's an important perspective to remember. And like, back to the boss stuff. I think, like I said, I'm somebody who came into a leadership role early, and I think in a lot of ways, I fostered a hostile environment early on. And it sucks to go back and think about it. And one thing that somebody said to me sort of midway through my managerial life was, don't ask the people who work with you to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. And don't ask for them to have a quality of life that you wouldn't want for yourself. And I think that shifted a perspective for me. So if you got a boss who's cracking a whip, I think in a lot of ways that's okay if they're adhering to that same set of standards for themselves. And even if they are or not, how far apart is the compensation? If the boss is cracking a whip and he's getting $400,000 a year, and he's cracking a whip for you and you're getting $50,000 a year, that's a tough situation, and that's going to only breed toxicity, right? And it's hard, man. It's hard to be a manager. And you mentioned you're thinking about staffing up, and sort of when is that time right? When is it not right? It's a hard time to sort of figure out when to do or when not to do.
So that's my question to you then. Like, when is the right time? Like, when did you know that, hey, I think I need to hire someone. I think I need help.
So, I mean, this goes back to one of my mistakes. So early on in my YouTube days, and I wanted to build a website, I was able to find a really incredible business partner, and I got private equity money. And I was coming from a job previously that, I mean, I was saying I was paycheck to paycheck was a understatement. So now I had a lot of money, and I'm like, well, what do you do when you get a lot of money? Like, you hire a lot of people and you get an office. I was like, that makes sense. So I hired a lot of people and got an office. Turned out I hired too many people and didn't need the office. But then people start relying on you for your livelihood, and you're stuck. I think you only hire when it is absolutely necessary. And can that person earn their salary back for you? And if you hire somebody who can earn that salary back for you, it's easy to incentivize them, right? If I'm making more money, you're going to make more money. Like if there's food on the table, everybody can eat. But if that person's going to be a cost center for you, you're going to probably overwork them. They're probably going to want to leave. So if you're at a point where you know what their work is going to be and it's going to increase your bottom line, then it's the right time to hire. If you're hiring for your peace of mind, or you're hiring because you think you should, or you're hiring because your friends have hired someone, it's not the right time.
Really weird question. Maybe it's weird, but have you hired
Sure.
someone just because they were your friends?
No, almost. But I have not. And I've hired people that I'm very close friends with. I hired an editor-in-chief for Techno Buffalo that I went to business school with, and was one of my closest friends. Brady and I were friends for a good almost 2 years before we started working together. But I've never hired somebody because they're just my friend. That is a horrible recipe. And hiring somebody is going to change the dynamic of your friendship. So if you're not confident in the work they're going to be doing, not only is it going to damage a friendship, but it's going to hurt your job performance. So I knew Brady, for example, we really needed somebody in this role. And Brady was uniquely qualified and talented for that role. So we can silo a friendship and be like, hey, here's a job to do. And then we can still be friends outside of that silo. That's a better recipe. And you're giving somebody a chance to succeed. If you're hiring a friend that maybe not perfect for the job, you're not giving them a chance to succeed. Brady, like Brady, and earmuffs here, Brady. Brady's super talented. Crazy talented at what he does. So you knew something like that and working together wasn't going to be a problem. Like if I could hire 1 million Bradys, my business would be worth 6 times more. But if you're just hiring a friend, man, that's a bad recipe.
Yeah.
So from the other perspective, from my perspective, yeah.
That's a good perspective.
So, me and John were friends for a while, mainly due to the Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl champs. But yeah, so when he approached me about the position, a little bit in me was a little bit hesitant because, like you mentioned, John, I didn't want to harbor any friendships. And I know that's it's a slippery slope if done the wrong way. And to credit to you, John runs his business like a true business should, not any micromanagement. It's a very healthy work environment. Even our friendship throughout the business, transcends, and it's a mutual respect. Yeah, so he approached me about the job, and of course there's a little bit of hesitation because I didn't want to harbor our friendship, burn any bridges, because if done the wrong way, things can go really south, and then not only do you lose, your job, but you lose a close friend. So it's worth more than accepting a normal job. It's really tough. Luckily, there's a lot of mutual respect between me and John. He doesn't treat anybody in the team as if he's a boss. We're all friends for the same goal of making a great functioning company. And he's hired an incredible team. I know I'm the newest member, but everybody in the JFL network is incredibly talented at exactly what they do. Very thick skin. We're all adults. We all have constructive criticism for one another, and we take it and we make better quality out of collaboration off of each other. And it's just such an incredible environment. Something I've never been a part of. Coming from the military, it was very militaristic, of course. Micromanagement, crack the whip, like you're talking about, Michael. And then I transitioned into product photography for a very traditional corporation, which also was micromanagement and little room for creativity and being yourself. You had to be a specific person for the company and wear a mask, theoretically, to be able to retain your job. And it just was not a healthy environment. So working in this space, it doesn't even feel like I'm working. open my computer every day and I'm just excited to edit videos. And the excitement hasn't stopped. I think I'm going on month 3 with the company, and I'm no less excited than I am day one. It's
Already?
crazy. It's such a great environment to work with the people I work with and learn from everybody, because everybody has their own talents, everybody has their own unique perspectives, and we just all grow from it. And that's definitely the best part about it.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that. I learned early on at the Techno Buffalo days that when I was when things ran through me, I was a problem with a lot of things. When I was running the creative, I was a problem, and things stagnated. So trying to take myself out of it and hire people much more talent than me has been, I think, one of my greatest professional successes. The things I'm the most proud of, and giving people the opportunity to sort of spread their wings. But here's something Brady doesn't know. So he and I were friends for about 2 years before we started working together. But about a year or so into that, I started seeing his photography work show up on Instagram and some of the video work. And I'd be like, we could use somebody with that skill set. So I was very sneaky. I started like, oh man, hey, send me some of your work. Let's see what you're doing. Like I'd love to check it out. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, damn, we could use this guy. I was like, yeah, man, totally. Send me more work of your coffee next to the mountain. Like that looks beautiful. Like, have you done any video stuff? That'd be cool to see what maybe that looks like. So there was a lot of sneaky behind the scenes due diligence, I think, before we had our conversation about whether or not we should work together.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, John, is that I kind of
master manipulator. I had no idea.
I kind of do
very quiet. Very quiet about it, man.
I kind of do the same thing with whoever I work with, and I usually I don't hire people because I'm not at that capacity yet. But when I look for for other creators that I can partner with, I kind of just make friends with them first. And over the last few years, I guess in my head, like I'm also being sneaky, because whenever I meet someone, I put them they're my friends, but I also put them in this little category. Like, okay, so for example, Brady, Brady, oh yeah, he's a cool guy, this and that, but his talents lie in here. So it's like in the back of my head, I know that he excels in a certain thing, so that later on in life, and I know this is pretty much how I've treated my business and I've treated my career and friends, is that I feel like it's a long game, right? And I know that somehow, if for me to succeed, for me to grow, I will need the help of all these people, right? And so I'm always being aware of what they're very good at. And what you just said earlier, John, that you found yourself to be the problem. It's almost like you were getting in the way of yourself, for actually, before you can actually progress, you need to take yourself away from that situation and let other people shine. I love that, because it's so true. And I think in the creator space, this is it can be a lonely space, especially when you're doing it yourself. You feel like you're the only one who can do it. You're the only one who has the vision, who has the talent, and all that stuff. And I've learned very recently, actually, that is not the case. What I found is that I actually need help. I need people, talented people like Brady. I need to hire someone like Brady to help me with my projects. And so my question, no, he is off limits.
Sorry, I'm taken.
John, I wanted to touch on something that I find very interesting. So when I first discovered your channel, it was Techno Buffalo. So I wanted to know how much has changed, or what made you decide from Techno Buffalo to become what now is JFL Network. Is that correct?
Yeah. Let's talk about it. So early on the YouTube days, so pre-partner program and stuff, started a YouTube channel. It was called John Rettinger. That was my AIM screen name for middle school. Clearly no vision for what YouTube was going to be. It grew very quickly, right? It grew. Not people were doing it at the time. It was awesome. I saw an opportunity. I was working a job that I hated, to the point where I hope I get in a car accident so I wouldn't have to go. I was miserable. And I saw an opportunity. I'm like, I think something's gonna be here with this. I had no business background at all. I was a liberal arts major in college. I was prepared for nothing. So I reached out to every major website at the time. Be like, hey, I think video is going to be a thing. Let me do a video for you, and you can put it on your website. And literally nobody got back to me. And and that was very discouraging. So at the time I was in my early 20s, relatively full of myself. I'm like, screw this, I'm gonna do it myself. I got no business background, I got no coding background. I'm gonna make myself a website. Um, I don't know anything about publishing. I have no publishing background or anything about SEO. So I did. And ultimately, I became Techno Buffalo. And then I was running, the website and the video side for the better part of a decade. And some days were good, but about 6 years ago, I realized I was doing a lot of things, not doing anything well. All my time spent learning publishing and editorial processes, negotiating contracts for time I wasn't spent on video. And I think because of that, the YouTube channel itself plateaued.
Stick around to hear the rest of Jon's story and a sneak peek of what's to come. We'll be right back. I would say that the backbone of just about every work from home setup is the desk. And while there are many out there, only one has enabled me to be healthier, more productive, and ultimately thrive in my own home office environment. And I'm talking about my very own electronic height adjustable sway desk by Ergonoffice. Ergonoffice offer a range of office furniture and accessories designed with the same care and attention to detail as my beloved sway desk. All of their products are sourced and handmade in Canada with the highest standards of quality. Check out their website at ergonoffice.com. That's ERGONOFIS.com. And for the Coffee with Creators listeners, you can use the code Michael50, that's MICHAEL 50 at checkout to save $50 on any of their desks.
Growth plateaued, creativity plateaued, sponsorships plateaued. All my time was spent on the website, which I really wasn't enjoying at all. But I had people working for me, whereas my family is a single family income. I had to sort of keep things going. And I kind of just reached a breaking point. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I can't do anything well. And ultimately, if I don't make a decision, people who are relying on me for livelihood are going to be out of work because this company's going to fail. So I had kind of my self-realization that I was causing a lot of the problems. I was not the best manager in a lot of situations. Everything running through me was not the best way to succeed and move forward. So I had to decide, do I want to sell the entire business and just work for somebody else? Do I want to try to sell part of the business? What was it that I wanted out of my life and career? This was 4 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. So after some reflecting on it, I decided that what I really loved and where my passion was video. And the website was 90% of my aggravation. It was 20% of my revenue. And that was dumb. I mean, dumb. I don't know why I did it for so long. It's sort of that point where I realized that I had to make a change, and ended up selling the website and the trademark, and then rebranding the YouTube channel, the part of the business that I retained, just in my own name.
How has anything about the business changed though? I guess I'm just trying to understand, what does it mean to sell a business?
The entire business now is unrecognizable from what it was back in the Techno Buffalo days. And some of the guys that I still work with were around then. I'm sure they can attest to that. But we had an office where we had writers that were there from 9 to 5, and I was there from 9 to 5. And every time I need to film a video, I'd say, okay, let's film. And I had to sit down in front of a camera, and I would just talk, and then we'd be done, and then they'd go and edit the video, and the video stuff that I did was done there. Now it's a creative machine. We have brainstorming sessions, as Brady can attest to. We have pitch meetings. Nobody's in studio every day. Most people work from home. Mm-hmm. And I think I've seen Brady 3 times since since he came on board. And it's allowed me to be a better manager, be a better boss, and I think deliver ultimately a better product and video. And the business has grown. The business is by many, many multiples grown or what it ever was with Techno Buffalo.
I'm curious though, when you sold your business, before or after you did that, did you have to kind of put out feelers into your current relationships, business partners, and be like, hey, I'm moving to my own different thing?
So I reached out to some acquiring companies I thought would be a good fit. and I was very honest. I'm like, here's what's going on. Like, I can't do this anymore. If you would like, and out of respect to the people who worked with me, I didn't want anything getting out beforehand, because if it fell through and they heard I was looking to sell, that's a demoralizing, right?
Yeah.
So I figured I would take whatever hit came after I announced it, than sort of doing it before.
Okay. Did you how about your
Was sort of the direction I went.
how about your clients though? Like did you start from the ground up, or was it because you've established yourself as, Techno Buffalo, and then you kind of just like brought over the same clients?
So the only thing yeah, on the video side, the only thing that changed from Techno Buffalo was the image on the URL. The URL on the YouTube channel didn't change at all. It was always /John4Lakers. It just had a short code redirect to Techno Buffalo, which it still does, actually. So nothing changed there at all.
I see.
Most of the brands I worked with on the video side were thrilled, because now my time wasn't being split. So I didn't have to start from the ground up. I didn't have to start from subscriber 0 or anything like that. I already had the channel. I just kept the channel, and I changed the graphic imagery on it, and that was mostly it.
Oh, that's so
It's very
interesting.
easy.
Huh, that is very interesting. So, how would you compare
Yeah,
your
so that was part of the deal. Was I wouldn't use the Techno Buffalo name anymore.
Oh, I see. So how would you compare your job now that it's more for like a creative machine that you mentioned? There's some brainstorming. Like, did that come about because of your many mistakes before, or is it something that you're like, I just kind of want to try something new? Or maybe someone gave you this idea.
Yeah, so first of all, I course corrected like way hard versus the Techno Buffalo days. Like I mentioned, I feeling creatively beaten. When I sold Techno Buffalo, I had a very genuine and generous offer from a friend of mine, John Morrison, from TLD Today, to come film at his studios for a while, to sort of see how they did things, see their creative processes, and that sort of re-sparked a lot of things in me, and I'm forever grateful for that opportunity to film with him. Austin Evans was right across the hall, and be able to see how people who had never gone that website route were sort of going about their creative processes. And I think that helped tremendous. And then I just wanted to create an environment that, and like I mentioned at the beginning, that I'd want to be a part of. And I don't think that was a perspective that I always had. And listen, not every day at a job is going to be great. And I am not a gem of a boss every day. And that's okay. But make sure people are happy and enjoying their time and feeling creatively fulfilled for the most part is awesome. And the work is better when that happens. So I learned a lot about the creative side from John, and then from the business side, I was able to adapt a lot of what I learned in the past and sort of not make the same mistakes or try to avoid the same mistakes again.
Coming from my perspective, I know a lot of people know the transition from Techno Buffalo to just Jon Rettinger. But what a lot of people don't know is that it's actually the JFL network. And there's multiple entities under you now. So sorry, Michael, took over the questioning.
No,
but
no,
John,
that's fine.
how did Apple Circle come to be? All the Snap channels, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes that not a lot of people know that came out from this.
Yeah, a lot of people view this content, have no idea that it's part of the JFL network. And JFL just stands for Jon4Lakers. But I was able to sort of rebuild a media company after this. So I wanted to take what I learned from a relatively older YouTube channel and see how that parlayed to a new channel. How the algorithm treated a new channel, how the mistakes that I learned could impact a new channel, and how we could grow a new channel. And so we did a really deep dive on different topics to see where the audience would want to see, where the views were, and sort of the obvious kind of fruit rose to the top. That was Apple. So we created a YouTube channel called The Apple Circle, which I am not on camera for. I help manage behind the scenes. And it's been a lot of fun to sort of see the best practices work. And that channel now has 250,000 subscribers. It's fronted by the great Robert Rosenfeld. And it's been awesome to see that growth. And being able to not run a website, I've had time to focus on other biz dev growth things. We have now 5 channels on Snap, for example, that are unique individual content produced hand in hand with Snap, not like personal channels where you're just posting stories and that kind of thing. That's all part of the business monetization strategy, and that's all part of the JFL. Topics ranging from comic book news to tech news to now space are sort of all the breadth of what sort of JFL is presenting. And I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of being behind the scenes on a lot of those things.
That's wonderful to hear, because it's like you've got to you have the opportunity to really stretch your legs this time. Like there's so many things that you can talk about. Like yeah, like you basically just covered everything that I'm probably interested in. And I know you cover cars now. So I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so cars, all that stuff. And you know what's nuts is that January through March, if you combine all the Snap channels and YouTube channels, we had almost 30 million unique people watch the content. So if we were a network TV show, we would have ranked, I believe, at this point, over the Super Bowl as far as number of humans who are actually watching the content. And that's crazy. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of things like that. We launched a new Snap show yesterday. One of our lead editors that always had a passion for space pitched a space show, and Snap approved it. And it launched, and 130,000 people or so have watched it since yesterday. And that's incredible. And that's awesome. And I'm finding a lot of creative fulfillment from letting other people kind of do things that they've always wanted to do. I've had a lot of very good opportunities in my life, and I've had a chance to do some really cool things, and I still want to do that. But giving other people the same chances has been just one of the most unique and rewarding experiences of my professional life.
Of all the people that I've been following, something about Jon just like resonates with me, and I really like it. And I think it's just that, like it oozes out of you, like without even having to say it. Like it seems like you really do care. You care about the product, you care about the people, you care about everything. You're not just a face. And that's one of the things that really stuck with me. I don't know why, but hearing you say that really just confirms it. And, not to put Brady on the spot, but ever since he got that job, he's always like texting me, sending me pictures. He's like, dude, I'm excited to do this. We're working on something new, this and that, because I'm actually working with Brady on a little side thing. But he's like, oh yeah, by this date I'm gonna be busy. I'm like, okay, fine. I get it. You love your job, but no, it just speaks to how that environment is just so different. You know what I mean? And I feel like what you were just saying, Jon, earlier, you were sharing that you wanted to foster that sort of working environment that's a little bit more. It's just pleasant overall. I think it's amazing.
I am by no means perfect, and I make plenty of mistakes and trying to get better. But for like a Brady as an example, he's working his butt off. Like Brady's hauling through a metric ton of videos. But then he'll send me pictures at like in the morning pushing his daughter on the swings. I'm like, I don't even know. I told you, like, that made me so happy to see that. Like, here's somebody who was, and I think it's a fair statement to say, Brady, you're really looking for a better work-life balance than you had before, right? Like that was, and to sort of see somebody who's crushing it at work, but also being able to like push his daughter in the morning. It's awesome. Like that was just such a cool thing to see. And I know how happy that made him. It was a cool moment. And it's things like that I'm finding that I'm working for a lot more.
I can definitely
and just to again attest to the team and the business that Jon built, I am so happy every day. I don't think I've ever been this happy in life, just because I'm so fulfilled with what I'm doing. And it has nothing to do with Jon. I'm stoked that I'm friends with him, but take him out of the equation of the business, just working with all the other people that he's brought on just fills me with so much joy. It's the most incredible thing that I've ever been a part of. I don't know how to say it any better than that. I am so happy with life.
I can see it, Brady.
I've never been this happy in life before.
I mean, the text messages that I get sometimes, I'm like, man, look at Brady. Jon, before you filmed,
it's great.
Before you published the video of the Lucid, the Lucid Air, Brady's known that
was Brady's second day, I think. Was that shoot?
Yeah, he was making me jealous. He's like, look at this, and I'm like, I'm like, what the? This is so cool. But yeah, it's I can see it, I can feel it, I can see it, and I'm just so happy for Brady. And I love how, you seeing Brady. I mean, sharing that story of Brady, sharing a picture of him pushing his daughter on a swing, like you recognize that these are people. They're not just like cogs in this whole factory, right? They're actual people. They have lives, and the fact that that made you happy to see he was happy is just, that's the best. You know what I mean? Like I can only wish that I can be at that, that position, that same level where I can also share so much that, or create something that will allow people to have a more fulfilling life, or even like just like a better work-life balance. I think that's just so great.
Thank you for that. Like I said, a lot of mistakes along the way to get to that point. I'm sure there's plenty of people who've written plenty of blog posts about what a horrible work environment I fostered, but like everything in life, I guess you just try to learn from it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Before we end this podcast, John, I do want to talk just a little bit about this, because I can get into this topic like really, really bad, but I want to talk about your car, the Lucid. Okay. Do you really like it? And I know you were supposed to get the EQS.
So I love cars, and I love really fast cars. And this is a very, very fast car. So with this, I really, really like it. I think if the software was better, I would love the car. I don't get attached to cars that much. I mean, so if I got an offer to sell this thing over MSRP, I would sell it and find something else. I really like the car. I think Lucid is onto something really, really big. They released software before it was ready. And I think right now, I've had the car for 4 months, and now we're at a point where like it's software stable, and it probably should have been released now. There's still a lot of areas to be improved on. They've done a lot of things really, really well. You can't with software fix build quality. You can't with software adjust panel gaps. That kind of thing.
Do you think that the Rivian is gonna pull you away from the Lucid? Because I know you reinstated your reservation.
Yeah. So, Brady, should we tell him what we're doing at the end of the month?
Oh, don't do this.
Well, speaking of Rivian,
don't do this. Actually,
you want to do the honors? You want to do the honors, Brady?
Yeah. So, under the creative direction of the great Matt Gonzalez, we will be having a Rivian R1T, right, for 1 week. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be doing a deep dive, extensive review on it. So that is extremely exciting. I never thought that day would come.
Oh man, I'm super excited. Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything. Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything.
So ask me in a few weeks.
Okay, yeah. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you in a few weeks, and I want to see, because I initially, from all the things that I've heard, Rivian's design and quality is basically impeccable. That's from what I've been reading and hearing. So it's hard for me to imagine.
Same.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine because I've sat inside I didn't sit inside a Lucid, but I've seen one. I saw one in a showroom, and to me, it's just like, wow, like it looks really nice in person. It feels like quality. But I'm so curious to hear what your thoughts are going to be next to the Rivian. So I'm not gonna spoil anything. But I'm so excited and a little bit jealous, to be honest, that you guys are going to start.
No, it's all right. Listen, if you'll have me back, after our week with the Rivian, I'd love to. We can talk cars. And Brady can give a perspective. Have been in both.
Oh, I would love to have that. You know what? Actually, John, let me check my schedule if I can accept you. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll come back and we'll talk cars.
No, yeah, I definitely. Dude, I would love that. Oh, I would love that so much. All right. Well, thank you so much for finding the time,
and
guys.
see, John will be a unique person.
Oh, go ahead. Go, Brady.
Oh, I was just going to say, John will be a unique person because not only has he drove the Lucid and the Rivian at that point, but also multiple Teslas. So the EV market probably better than anybody else I know.
That's also what I want to dive into. Yes,
let's talk cars, man. I'll be excited for that.
Oh man, well, you're gonna have to save like 2 hours. No, I'm not gonna do that to you, but I'm gonna have to change the title of this podcast to Coffee with Car People or something like that, because I can talk cars forever. But anyway, guys, I really want to say thank you. I apologize for like the technical mishaps that's been going on. Brady, if you could share how the audience can find you.
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is at Brady Keegs, BradyKeegs. My YouTube, I I'm not even at the point where my YouTube has a custom URL, but you can find it through my Instagram. Website is also bradykeegan.com, BradyKeegan. You can see more of my professional work there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Also, John, and I know I've said this before, people probably don't even know.
So at first for Brady, if you look any of the JFL snap shows, chances are Brady's edited them. But if you see one with a spelling error in it, then you know. Just a fun story. I am a horrible typer. Brady likes to give me a lot of crap for my typos.
Always.
Which is fair. And it's fair and it's well deserved. So Brady edited a snap show for us that went up on was it the Apple Circle?
Yep.
And we took a cut of it and uploaded it to TikTok. And the video did pretty well on Snapchat. But it blew up on TikTok. It was, I think, the first video ever on the Apple Circle TikTok channel. I think it's sitting around 6 million views.
Oh man!
But it's supposed to be Apple products that are coming, and it was COMIG. You can see it right there, coming. Apple products coming. And I left it there. So not only did the video crush it, because Brady did an awesome job editing it, but now he can no longer give me any more crap about my typos. So I view that as a win-win. But the point of that story was, if you want to see Brady's work, video editing wise, watch any of our snapshots. Chances are he edited them.
Okay, that's awesome. You should frame that.
And he gets reminded of that. Somebody reminds you on Telegram at least once a week or so.
Yeah, pretty much. I remind myself.
And if you want to find me, you can just put my name into Google and click whatever shows up.
Thank you guys. Again, appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day, the rest of the week. I very much look forward to having you guys back on the Coffee Creators. Thank you so much, Brady, and thank you so much, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.